You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 169, Urgent Emotions. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful bravehearts. I am not going to lie. I've got to be honest with all of you. I am going through it in a completely deeper way. I'm just like, I don't even know how to put it in words yet. And I feel like I've been going through it since like September. And to be honest, I keep thinking that I'm going to get to this end point where I'll be able to tie a pretty bow on it and I'm going to be able to share it with all of you, but it just keeps going. And so I've been hesitant to even say that I've hit rock bottom because I'm probably still falling. I haven't hit the bottom yet, I don't think, because each time I think I've hit rock bottom, it just goes deeper. So anyways, I was walking Tinkerbell this morning and I just had an overwhelming gratitude come over me for those of you who stick around. And there's so many of you who reach out to me and thank you. And many of you might be new and welcome. What a way to start the podcast. Some of you have been here for a while and I just had to say thank you for being open to my imperfection. I'm a human being going through my own human experience and gosh, you guys, I'm so far from perfect. And it just really means the world to me when you guys reach out and you let me know how the podcast has helped you and how what I do matters. Or you leave a review about the podcast and how it's helped you. Thank you for seeing my imperfection and my humanness and embracing it anyways. Even if it's small things, even I didn't have a podcast episode come out last week and it just means the world to me that y'all are still here. And it just means the world to me that I get to impact the world in some positive way, even if it's small. And I'm just really grateful for you guys who are listening today and who are here and who, take my imperfections and find a way to utilize that to improve your life. So thank you. I just had to say that. I've been going through it and I will probably do an episode kind of talking about everything, but it would be more of a bonus episode just because y'all know me. I like to get to the point, which I haven't done so far for this episode. So today we are talking about urgent emotions, and I have a whole workshop inside of Get Over Your Ex about this. And recently, as I've been experiencing my own heartbreak, I've really enjoyed sharing mini lessons inside of the Get Over Your Ex program with the bravehearts there. And it's such a safe space. Yesterday, they all invited me to share more of those personal life experiences and how I've applied what they are learning and giving them those real life examples from my life now. And again, I'm just so grateful that they had invited me to do that because I'm so not perfect. And so oftentimes my mind really gets in the way of sharing things like this because I'm like, is it helpful? I'm in the middle of it. So could it be that helpful for someone if I haven't gotten all the way through the lesson that I'm experiencing now? I feel like I have to wait until there's space between the event that I've gone through before I can share it with everyone. And what I'm realizing is that even if I'm just sharing what I'm going through in that moment and the tactics and the tools that I'm using to help myself get through, it's actually being quite well received. And of course, sometimes it won't be, and that's fine. But long story short, this is one of many, many lessons I've been teaching inside of the Get Over Your Ex program around emotions that feel overwhelmingly urgent. And I'm sure you know these emotions, right? It feels like something needs to be fixed. Something is very wrong here. and a conversation needs to be had so we can iron this out and come to a resolution, come to clarity, and really get on the same page and feel better. And for those of you who might not know yet, I have recently gone through a miscarriage at 13 weeks, and it was really devastating. So many emotions have come up throughout that process, and it's complicated. My relationship has changed, my body has changed, my mental experience has changed, and it's been a very interesting experience, to say the least. And I've experienced a lot of urgent emotions, especially when my relationship started appearing different. And this urgent feeling, these urgent emotions really reminds me of my past relationship with the guy that catapulted breakup coach Dorothy and why I'm here doing what I'm doing. It was this experience of where I'd be feeling extremely uncomfortable with a situation or a conversation, and I just wanted his reassurance words, guys, right? I wanted him to tell me that he loved me, that he was there, that he is there, and that everything's going to be okay, right? Hold me. And every time I spoke to my ex at the time, I left with a less than experience. I'd leave the conversation with even more unreassurance. Just made up that word, right? Discouragement, maybe like a lack of reassurance. And I know a lot of you might be experiencing that. I feel like we even experience that before the relationship's done, right? It's this experience of like, the relationship's ending, like you can feel the energy shift, and you start to panic and you start to feel like something needs to be fixed right this moment. And so this time around, I didn't even notice that I was reacting to my emotions. I do this for a living, right? I do this every day with my clients, and I can see it so clearly in them, but I did not notice it for myself for like a week. I spent a week reacting to my emotions, and I had no clue I was doing it until my cousin said something. She texted me something along the lines of like, what you're doing is not pretty. And I was like, what? And I kind of came to a halt of, right? I'm realizing I feel crazy. Like I feel like not myself. I don't feel like calm, cool, and collected. I feel a little nutty. And I sat with that for a second, and I was like, oh my gosh. I knew what was happening, but I could not see it. What I was doing, I knew was not working. So let's take a moment and just look at what is an urgent emotion and why is it important? Why are we looking at this? I think urgent emotions kind of fall in the category of panic. Panic, some that come to mind are jealousy, urgency, uncertainty, unease, uncomfortable, out of control, abandoned, despair, powerlessness, grief, nauseated, horrified, hesitant, terror, appalled maybe, and betrayed. And the reason it's important to address these emotions is we talk about grief and sadness a lot, but I think these emotions make you feel powerless. They make you feel out of control. And I want to bring you back to the core teachings of this podcast, which are your thoughts create your feelings. Your thoughts are what's creating these urgent emotions. And sometimes it's so hard to see, right? And so some of the thoughts that were going through my brain most recently, and that I also see in my bravehearts that create a lot of these urgent emotions, are something's wrong. I don't know why I'm crying for these. Something's wrong. This isn't okay. I'm not okay. This is bad. I'm alone. I'm not loved. He doesn't love me. I'm ruined. My life is ruined. I've lost everything. I'm losing everything. How many of you think those thoughts or have thought those thoughts in your life that created and cultivated those panicked, urgent emotions? They feel real, right? When I'm in the midst of this miscarriage, they feel true. Something is wrong. That's not what was supposed to happen. And remember, right, that feelings create action. They fuel your behavior. So I spent a while taking score of what I was doing. And I noticed I spent a lot of my days on the phone with friends or family or coaches talking about all of it. My pregnancy loss, my relationship, my feelings. I thought all of that was healthy. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with sharing your experience. But I realized is that I got to this point of I'm just tired of talking about it. I also realized that I was grasping at my partner, Jake, like clawing at him to get some kind of reassurance that everything was going to be okay. Meanwhile, you guys, he's going through his own grief journey, which looks very different than mine. And it felt very not okay. And I was in a constant state of physical illness, right? Not eating, feeling like I was going to vomit if I put anything in my mouth. We've all been there. This isn't the first time I've been in this situation in my life. And I know it's probably not going to be the last. It cannot just be me. I mean, how many of you? I wish that I could be in front of you guys and having this conversation. When I realized this, I was like, girl, you are reacting. You are reaching outside of yourself to feel better. And I wasn't mad at myself, not mad at you, Dor. Just let's see what it is for what it is, right? Let's see it for what it is. We are grasping, we are reaching outside of ourselves because we feel like something needs to be fixed and it's not something I have control over. And let's recognize that there is nothing anyone else can do or say that is going to make this okay or better. People try to say the right words and they tell me everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't land, right? So I sat down with myself and I was like, all right, Dor, what now then? And I realized I was trying to fix my feelings, right? Like, is there the ability to fix this feeling? And to us humans, that might mean feeling a different emotion, feeling better. For my mind, it was having resolution. I kept feeling like we need to have resolution around this. We need to, I want a resolution. I need decisions made and a plan in place for next steps, which was also known as, trying to change reality, changing something that was outside of my control again, to feel differently, to feel resolved, to feel calm. And I thought that those, decisions and those next steps would make me feel calm. And this is the problem with trying to fix feelings or fix these urgent emotions is a lot of times we're grasping and we're trying to control the uncontrollable things outside of us. Because we think that if we can just change that, we will feel better, right? If we can change our ex's mind about this is the relationship we're supposed to be in, everything can be okay, it's going to be better. Right? Now, the secondary problem I found was once I was aware of the fact I was trying to change my circumstances to feel better, I knew my mind was going to want to immediately switch the thoughts. Anyone else? We learn that thoughts create feelings and we're like, okay, urgent emotion appears. I'm feeling panic. What do I need to do to feel calm? And this is something I see in all of my bravehearts all of the time, especially when you first join Get Over Your Exes. They have been feeling shitty for so long. And all they want to do is feel better. And they're sick of crying. This is me too. I was sick of crying, sick of feeling miserable, sick of doing the same thing, sharing the same shitty ass story, saying it, repeating it over and over and over again. And we're just done. I'm like, I'm ready to go, ready to roll. We need to do something different. I have felt my feelings. Let's change my thoughts. Let's move into something different. And honestly, I get it. I get it. Urgent emotions are not comfortable. While going through this experience, was not comfortable. And if I went into trying to change my thoughts when I'm not ready to change my thoughts for the sole purpose to feel better, I wasn't going to get very far. It might work for a second or give me a little bit of glimpse of a better feeling. but it wasn't going to take me to where I wanted to be. I knew this because I've seen it time and time again. So I made a promise with myself. I promised myself that just for a day, just for the next 24 hours, just for that day, I wouldn't bring it up to anyone, period. No matter how many times I bursted out crying or experienced the roller coaster of feeling sick and panic and worry, I wasn't going to talk about it out loud to anyone, just for the day. I promised myself I was going to experience that emotion instead of trying to fix it. And I was going to be there with myself for the waves. No matter how many I had that day, it was going to be me, and I was going to do the surfing alone. And no matter how messy it was, no matter how many times I fell down, I was not going to bring in reinforcements. Scary, kind of, you know? And you know what happened? Is that I rode those waves 60 times that day. It was a Sunday. 60 waves. 60 times, y'all. And by the end of that day, I felt like a fucking powerhouse. I was like, hello, door, where the fuck have you been? I felt so confident in my ability to handle my life after feeling so powerless for like weeks. I was like, where have you been, sister? I have missed the fuck out of you. So good to see you. And that, my friends, is the relationship with yourself that no one can take away. It was never gone. It was always there. I just hadn't been looking at it. That relationship with you where anything can happen and you know that you've got your back. It built a sense of trust and confidence and power. It reminded me that I'm a fucking creator of epic comebacks. So we are only going up from here, no matter what other people decide, no matter what happens in my specific situation right now. The things I don't have control over do not control me. The things I don't have control over, bravehearts, do not control me. The same thing is for you. The things that you don't have control over, your ex's decisions, those things do not have control over you. And that is what I want for each of my bravehearts. I want that kind of energy to come back to you. But the not so great news part of this is that you have to go through it to get there. And you have to go through those waves to get there. And that's okay. But I know it's not the news you want to hear. And I also want to just mention that I'm not saying you have to go through it alone. I am not saying don't reach out to your friends and family and get the help that you need. But notice what your tendencies are when it comes to your emotions. Do you react to your emotions? And maybe your reactions might look different. Maybe they're like buffering with TV or alcohol or a substance. Mine was, I'm reacting by reaching out and being on the phone 24/7, talking about the shit that I don't want to talk about and hoping that my partner, tells me all of the right things. Do you resist your emotions or do you avoid them, right? Just look at what you do with your emotions and what you've been doing to almost avoid them or fix them, right? And here are the steps that I want you to take if you're someone who's struggling with these urgent emotions of panic. And these are like those emotions where you feel physically ill and like something desperately has to be changed, right? So the first thing that you have to do is that you've got to notice what you're doing with those emotions, right? Am I reacting? Am I resisting? Am I avoiding? For me, it looked like asking for my partner to give me reassurance, in which he couldn't. He was going through all of his own stuff. And when I asked him for reassurance, I just felt more hesitancy and more lack and more uncomfortable after every single conversation we had. Mine also looked like calling and reaching out to all of my friends and family, coaches, grasping for friends and family to like make it better. And again, that was my reaction. I'm not saying if you're doing that, it's a bad thing or that you should stop. It's just that was my reaction. So the second thing to do after you notice what you're doing is tell yourself you're going to allow the emotion. And you're going to allow that emotion as many times as you need to in a day. And if it helps your brain, give your brain a deadline of just 24 hours. You're going to allow the emotions just to see what happens for 24 hours. And you're going to do it as many times as needed. Maybe it's 60, maybe it's 120, maybe it's 200. However many times that emotion comes up, you are going to allow it. And you're not going to go back to your tendency of reacting or resisting or avoiding it. Whatever that looks like, you don't do that activity for that day. Whatever you've been doing to try to fix that feeling, you drop that activity for the day. For me, right, was not reaching out to people, not asking my partner, not talking about it. For the whole day, right, I wasn't going to bring it up to anyone. It was me and me only. And I was going to be internal with myself, and I was going to let that wave come and go as many times as it needed. And it happened multiple times. I had to go to Sam's Club that day, and it happened in Sam's Club. We went and ran errands. We went to Home Depot together. It happened in Home Depot probably 3 or 4 times. It happened in the car on the way to Home Depot 2 times, where I just wanted to talk to my partner about what had happened. And I didn't. And I allowed myself to just be there with me. And the third thing is that after that 24 hours, you have to celebrate yourself. Notice the confidence you have within you to handle that situation and not move into an activity to fix the feeling. The power inside of you, the way that you stood up for yourself, you were there for you, and you let that enhance that relationship with yourself, right? Urgent emotions are emotions that can help you build a relationship with you. And that is so important in a breakup or divorce or even just any heartbreak in general, is building that relationship with you. And it's probably going to be the last thing in the world you want to do at that moment, and it's okay. But know that that emotion will be there regardless of whether or not you use it as a tool to build security and safety with yourself. So why not try? Why not try this activity out? Because we've been doing things, it's not working. At least if you're like me, it wasn't working. Let's try something different and allow yourself to experience that urgent emotion and not fix it, right? I say this a lot, but your emotions are not problems to be fixed, but experiences to be had. And that goes for these urgent emotions where it desperately feels like something needs to be solved. All right, my brave hearts, I am sending you so much love. I love you all so, so much. I am including a bonus episode this week since we missed last week. And I, again, just want to say thank you so, so much for allowing me to be my imperfect self and being so kind. And I love you. I hope you're having an amazing week. And I will talk to you next time. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.